Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Okay, thank you. Welcome and thank you for joining webinar on Action Center hosted by Yes Technologies. This is Deepak Chinspure. I am in a QAD domain since a decade and I'll be your speaker. We have James Brook today along with us and he'll be our co-speaker. So, James, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm James Brooks with QAD. I'm a solution consultant, regularly working with customers on finance in particular, but also helping them with reporting needs. And before that, I was working in manufacturing as a customer using the SE version. So I just want to give you a little bit quick background on Action Centers. QAD recognized that there was a growing need for real-time information, to have more information at the user's fingertips to be able to, take a quick look at the exceptions instead of just running reports and stuff. And so that's where the Action Center really comes from. And as Deepak will show you, they look like dashboards. They have a lot of capabilities like dashboards, but they're also very actionable, which is the name Action Centers, where a user can see something and actually go through the visual to take an action that'll help get that process rolling or get whatever the issue resolved. So I'll turn it over to Deepak. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Thank you for a very quick info. Okay, so let me set the context for today's webinar. We are mainly going to understand that how Action Center is going to help in transforming your business, okay, using analytics and visuals. Secondly, what sets Action Centers apart from conventional BI, because we already have a lot of BI tools available in market. So how it is different uh, than other BIs. Most importantly, how we are going to explore that how Action Centers can help or we can use that based on the security and roles. And lastly, we are going to demonstrate on the pre-built Action Centers. Okay, these Action Centers are built based on the user experience and from a real life or real world challenges. Please feel free. Meanwhile, whenever I'm going to talk about on Action Centers and demo, if you have any doubt, any questions, do not hesitate to put that on our Q&A section. Okay, we will take that up during end of our session, and we'll try to answer all of your questions. Okay, thank you. Let's begin. And we typically call Action Center as next generation analytics, mainly because of it has a very distinctive properties. First is that Action Center and ERP is not a two separate thing. It's in the one place itself. So typically, we BI tools are available as an add-on module, or we have to go separately to third party. Whereas we are getting the analytics and the BI within ARP itself, so you don't need to go to different places. Okay. Second point is faster and accurate reporting, because it is at one place. That means you don't need to go somewhere else, and you don't have to waste your time to go to different tools. It is well within the ERP system. That means from there itself you can access the data. Okay, and you can access your reports based on the normal reporting, traditional reporting, as well as using visuals and dashboards. Okay, improve data quality. Again, the same thing, because I don't have to do any interface. I don't have to push my data to somewhere else. Okay, I don't have to have internal servers wherein I can put my data and then try to render it. Apart from that, it is already there, and we are going to see our data from ERP system itself. That means whatever entries are there based on my business processes, I'll be definitely able to get the data in a report format. Okay. One which is very important thing, and which makes Action Center stand out from traditional BIs, is ability to take actions based on the analysis. Okay, we are going to talk about this more in detail in demo section. Okay, but keep this point in mind that this is a distinctive feature which makes it different than other analytical tools. And lastly, ability to take business decisions promptly, effectively, because you are getting to see your data in a visual format, in a comprehensive format. Okay, you don't have to see all the data all at once. It is a dashboard is basically a comprehensive data in a representative format based on business needs, and that helps business to respond, to analyze reports, to take decisions very, very quickly. We're gonna see some examples during demo. Let's talk about the distinctive and the comparison between conventional BIs and action center. We talk about that action centers or dashboards. I'm going to term it as a dashboard. This is nothing but a dashboard through which we can take an action from a system, and that is why it is called as an action center. It sits on ERP itself, and that is one of the distinctive feature. That means you don't need a third party application. You don't need to go outside ERP application. And when I'm saying third party application, that means additional licensing comes in, additional cost comes in because we have to maintain that application. We have to host that application somewhere else and give an access to the or at organizational level. So, but with an dashboards and with an action center, we don't have to do that because again, it's in the ERP system. Uh, Secondly, reducing the burden on the system. Uh, if we use a conventional BI, which are apart from an ERP system or different tools, then we definitely have to establish a connectivity, and that connectivity could be in a form of a direct connectivity or maybe in a pushing data to and fro, either or. So if we do that, in that case, there is an additional burden on our ERP application. So with Action Center, we don't have to do that because again, the same thing, it is at one place. Very, very important and critical thing is that conventional VR or other tools are not pre-built. They don't have a data to do a pre-built dashboards, right? Because they eventually connect to your ERP application, fetch the data, and then based on that, you can develop something. With Action Center, what we have done is we have studied the different industries, different verticals. We have gathered the requirement from different departments, and based on that, we have come up with out of the box dashboards available in the system. So, may it be store, may it be production, may it be finance, or may it be any other department. So, we do have pre-built action centers available, pre-built dashboards available that can be definitely given to the can say users based on their roles, and we can implement security as well. Whereas in conventional BI, we don't have that. Okay, they have to do everything from scratch, from fetching the data from a table level. One key thing also is there, I'm going to explain that during demo, that in conventional BI typically the visuals are created based on the data present in table. However, we have option in Action Center that my data source is browsers or hybrid browsers or a custom browsers or standard browsers in a QAD system. That means I don't have to be dependent on the table level. I already have a pre-built browsers or a custom browsers based on my business requirement. I'm using those only. I can create the visuals. So that means you don't have to do anything from scratch. We talked about the cost effectiveness because additional licensing and all Action Center is pre-built, comes with an ERP, so we don't have to spend extra money on that. And no additional licensing as well. Lack of security because in the other tools, the conventional BI, analytical tools, will have to implement security or you will have to give access based on the user or a department. Whereas with QAD or whereas with Action Center, whatever roles are available in system, those roles are based on segregation of duties, right? We can use those roles, we can enhance that, means we can additionally give read, write, delete, and other roles permission to my visuals, which automatically gets inherited into an Action Center. We are going to see that as well. Okay. And one thing which I talked about in the last slide was about an ability to take an action. See, in the other tools, those are analytical tools. They have KPIs, they have visuals. Definitely, you can drill down to a data. Means we can identify that what is my data source. But if I identify something there, and if I have to take an action, I need to log into an application or ERP application, which is different based on the businesses. So go there, identify what record was there, copy paste it, and then do some transaction. Okay, it is gonna take time. It is not a great way because it's time consuming. With Action Centers, you're getting visuals, you're getting analytics, and you have a capability to drill down to a data level and to a record level, and also to go to a menu option from visual itself. So you don't have to switch a screen also. So that is very accurate, very fast, And whenever you take any action or whenever you change any record based on the visuals, system automatically refresh that. Means we have to refresh also, auto refresh is there, and system automatically shows that on screen then and there itself. That means it is a real time. We don't have to wait for a sync, unlike likely which happens in the third party tools. So these are the basic differences. Of course, there are more differences. I'll talk about them when I'm giving a demo. Key things is next generation analytics. The main reason is sitting on ERP, accuracy, security, and you can say that ability to take an action and faster reporting. That is why it is a next generation analytics. Again, we are reducing the burden on system, and it is again cost effective. Okay. Uh, we talked about a real-time dashboard because we are going to use the same DB. We are going to use the same data source. That means it is going to be real-time. And like other BI tools available in market, we do have slice and dice capabilities. More than that as well, okay? Because in conventional BI tool, you'll have to put slicer individually, whereas in Action Center, whereas in QAD Action Center, it comes by default. On top of that, you can add your own. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the Action Center security and role-based action to Action Center. Those who are well versed with QAD or at least know that how QAD set up their roles based on entity and domain. So we definitely get or we inherit them as it is, and there are different levels through which we can assign and role permission or assign a security rules. It begins with an KPI level first, because and in KPI we have an option to pick and choose that which domain that KPI will display the data. Okay, so let me explain. We have a data source. On top of that, we are going to create a KPI, and from that KPI, we are going to create multiple visuals, and the combination of multiple visuals will become a dashboard. Because we are able to take an action, then that is why we are calling it as an action center. Okay, so at KPI level, we can identify how many domains, or we can restrict the domain level security. That is first level. Next to that, we have an entity level security. That means in KPI, we get a capability that whether we can filter the data based on the current workspace or current entity. And if you go furthermore, it is based on the user, that if the user have an access to a particular domain, particular entity, then he or she will be able to see the data respective to that entity and domain. Okay, we are not limited to here only. We do have an additional options wherein we can give permissions to read, write, export, kind of a thing based on my visuals. We'll see that. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to demo on inventory optimizations. I'm gonna take 5 minutes to explain this. Okay, so this is we have prepared one action center, one dashboard based on customer requirement. We are going to present that on a demo data. So it is not an actual data, but the dashboards were actually requested from a customer. So let me share my screen and sign in. Okay, now I'm going to talk about this favorites. Considering that I have logged in as an admin user, I will see all my dashboards available here. Like I mentioned that we have pre-built dashboards available. You don't have to create from scratch. Okay. As an example, we have created one dashboard for a store inventory demo. Okay. And it has different visuals. Okay. Just to show you, and this was an actual requirement, we have a different visuals available. Okay. Of course, pie chart, histogram, then I have a combo chart, bar chart, and all those things. This is how a typical dashboard looks like. Okay, like in any other conventional VI as well. You get an option. If you hover your mouse, you get to know what data it is displaying. If I see here, it tells me that this is the one wherein I'm showing that site-wise quantity on hand and allocated quantity. So I get to know that what is my quantity available at site. Also, I'm getting to know that what is an allocated quantity. Okay. If you see there is one mentioned here at filter level. That means the more you apply filter, you get to know that that particular visual is getting filtered based on what condition. Okay. Right now it is based on the condition that item cost is zero. Okay. I get an option as a slicer. Here I can filter data based on my site. If I put it there, you see that the moment I'm selecting the different site, my visuals are changing. That means my slicer does not necessarily need to get applied to all visuals. Okay, so I can pick and choose where my slicer should get applied. So that capability we have available. Have that in Action Center. Also, if you see that how fast it is working, that is the benefit because it is sitting on ERP, so you don't have to wait. Meanwhile, the data gets rendered. Okay. Slice and dice. Of course, if I go like take this one example. This is representing my inventory at site level. Okay. If I want to see that at location level, so I just have to left click, and you get different options there. I can put additional filter criteria. If I click on zoom, it gives me the different slicing levels, and I can pick and choose how I want to represent my data. Currently, it is being represented at site level. If I select location from 10-300 site, if I click on location, it is going to change the representation for that particular site, location wise, quantity on hand, and quantity allocated. Okay, that is how you can slice and dice. Okay, also if you see that there is some gap in my allocations here. Here I can see that my allocation is in negative, whereas my site quantity is positive. Ideally, this situation should not occur. But if it is there, I will get to know from where the data is coming. One typical other conventional BIs or tools I want to support is if I go left click and do a details, it is going to give me a form or it is going to give me a data through which I can go and see. Right? Again, you have a huge number of data you have to scroll through and do a lot of you can say manual work. There are different ways I'm going to show it to you. Before we go there, we have an option to export this as a raw data in CSV or in XLS format. Okay. This is not the only way that how we can export the data. There are other ways as well. If you can go to a dashboard or if you can go to a visual on three dot, there you click, you'll get different options. Now, considering that I'm an admin, I have an access to a lot of options there, but we can control this definitely. There you get an export option, and there you can go to raw data and CSV and Excel. So you don't have to necessarily go to detail level and then export. From here also you can export. Okay. I was talking about the quantity, which is negative as an allocation quantity. So I want to drill down more. So let's go to an item level. Okay. This is telling me that this particular item has an issue. Okay, I don't have to go to the n number of data. If I click here and go to a details, okay, it is telling me that this is the record which is showing a minus quantity. Now you're seeing that from an action center, from a particular visual, I am drilling down to a data level. And this is not restricted to this particular level. I can go, you can click on that. It actually opens application, the menu option through which I can see that where the allocation is wrong. So if I have that particular item, I get different options here. If I click an inventory allocation, okay. See, I haven't gone to a different tab. I haven't gone to menu search. I'm actually traversing through an actions only or to visuals only. Let me say this as yes, this as yes. If you see, I've clicked on that item. It automatically got my item number, site, location, inherited in the report itself. So I don't have to put it manually. And if I'm running it, it is gonna tell me that at what level that particular quantity is allocated in negative. Okay, so this is my sales order. This is how the quantity is allocated in a wrong. So I can go and I can now go and take an action that what is wrong with this sales order, how it has been allocated, and I can work on it. This is one example wherein we can traverse through at a report level from visual. We're going to take another example as well. Okay, let me close all this. It is going to come back to the same visual action center, and I have sliced it to item level. I can just click on undo. It will go to location level, undo. It will gonna come back to the original thing, wherein my actual visual was up sideways. Okay. Um, let's take an example wherein I'm actually taking an action, and let's see how it is gonna reflect on my dashboard. So if you see here, let me filter the data because too many item types here. So let me filter data based on my site A and site B only. Okay. Okay. I have a single data wherein this particular visual mentions about item with inventory and zero cost. Ideally, this situation should not be there. Okay. If I go in detail, I'll be able to identify the records wherein my data, the items which has a zero cost. Okay. I can go to, or I can click an item and it will take me to the data source, which is nothing but a browse from where the this particular data is coming. I get a different options here. So if I just hover my mouse here, it is going to take me that from this particular thing where I can go and what actions I can take. Okay. If I hover my mouse on item number, it is gonna tell me that what are all the options where you can go. So because there's no cost, let's go and maintain the cost against this particular item. So I just clicked on that. It is gonna open actual menu option from the system. Okay. Let's go to a place where a cost is getting maintained. So site cost exception. Okay. It shows that site B has zero cost. Okay. So click on this details. This is actual transaction, which normally we can also go through this particular option using a search bar and then go to a menu option. Here it is showing that my cost is zero. Let's maintain some cost here. Okay. Let's save this record. Close. Save this. Now the way we have traversed to this level, we'll have to go back to this using same way. Now close this. Right now it is showing me two data because I haven't refreshed the data. I've taken an action. I have actually gone ahead and updated the cost. Let me go and refresh this particular visual. Now we got a capability here that each individual visual can be refreshed separately or at once. If you want to refresh the entire dashboard, you can refresh entire dashboard at the same time. So let's go ahead and refresh this. Meanwhile, it is getting refreshed. This particular capability is there in a KPI or visual setting, whether we are allowing system to manually refresh it. Else, if you don't allow that, system is going to automatically refresh based on the schedule, whatever you have mentioned in the KPI settings. Okay. Also, if I hover my mouse at refresh, it tells me that when was the last time this particular visual got refreshed. Okay, date, time, and all. So let's go inside and see how many record is showing. It is showing only one record because for another site we have actually gone ahead and maintained the data. So this is the very important thing because this is how we can actually take actions and we don't have to be dependent on the two separate tools. This is just a sample example. One of another critical example could be I have shipments due today, tomorrow, in next 5 days. Okay, these are all my shipments due. Okay, I can go ahead and I can click and see that against which sales order I have a shipment due today in next 5 days so that I can do a preparation. And in the same thing, you can go to a menu level and create the transaction and it will automatically refresh your visuals if it is set up. Otherwise, you have to refresh that manually. Okay, this is just a combination that I'm showing to you. We do have other dashboards as well through which you can have a more information. That means we don't have to congest a single dashboard with a lot of information. You can have different things, different dashboards available. So if I click maybe one dashboard which is out of the box coming with the system is, let's take this as an example, inventory excess and obsolescence. This is by default came with a QAD as pre-built. Okay, it has a huge information and it is gonna reflect that. The benefit of this is standard. right? But you can pick and choose while configuring your own dashboard. You can create definitely your own dashboard from data source, but you can actually get these dashboards available in your custom dashboard. Okay, so that is the beauty of it. uh, let's take another example, which is about demo on demand and forecast. Okay, quite interesting. Demand and okay, again the critical dashboard required based on the customer need. uh, Everybody wants to know that how accurate their forecast is. As per business rules, I think anything not to 70%, it's a good forecast accuracy. And good thing is that whatever forecast methods are there, okay, MAD or uh, MAP, you can say we can build that. I know those methodologies are quite critical and quite complex. So the beauty of it, we are not just representing data in a visual form, right? We can actually put a lot of complex calculations to derive additional, we can say, information from the same data source. Okay, so I've tried to map three information here: my forecast accuracy, my forecast versus sales based on monthly basis, and my year-on-year sale comparison with respect to current year and previous year. Okay, you see that down below there is a green bar. We normally call it as a time bar. That means this particular thing is reflecting a data from 2024. What if I want to see data from 2023? Okay, so there are min and max option available here. If I click on here, it's gonna tell me that from where to where I can see data, and it is not restrictive. We have a lot of options available here. We can make it dynamic just for the representation purpose. Secondly, I can just scroll and my data will start changing automatically. That is the benefit of this particular time bar. And it's not limited that with this one I can change the data for one visual. We can map this time bar to multiple visuals as well. Okay. One thing is, we have seen inventory, we have seen forecasting. There was another thing and important, which was about the security. Okay, I have the dashboard. I had a dashboard wherein the cost. I was showing that there's an items which are zero cost. Okay, what if I have a single dashboard available in system and I want to give it to a different people, a different users, but I want to control the access. That means a person, a store person, normal store person should not have an access to one of the visual, even though he has an access or she has an access to a particular dashboard. Okay, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna log in with a different user ID. Okay, just to show you that how it works. Okay. Now this is a sample example I have prepared for uh, this session, just to show that how security can be, or how well we can use roles and security from QAD system. If you see, I just have one dashboard available here, the same dashboard which I was shown as an admin access. If I click on that, it is gonna show me all the visuals except this particular user don't have an access. Like, considering this is a store person, they don't necessarily need to have an access to cost. Access is denied. Whereas rest of the things I can still go ahead and use it. That means not necessarily you'll have to create n number of different dashboards. You can still create one single dashboard and control the access based on the roles and permission at user level as well. Okay. Let's go back to our original thingy, which is just a moment. Okay. Meanwhile, it is opening. I mentioned about complex formulation. I mentioned about complex functions. Okay, I'm gonna show one of the function which I've used to do my year-on-year calculation or comparison. Okay, and you can create a number of things out of it. So let me go to edit KPI. Also, you if you have enough permission available, you can actually go to editing the KPI from your dashboard itself. You don't necessarily need to go to a different menu option and do changes in visuals or do changes in your data source or KPIs. Okay, this is my original KPI. Okay, I mentioned about access at first level, which we can maintain domain wise. So that means I can pick and choose that this particular data source is going to represent which domains. Okay, it also has an option browse by entity. That means it is going to mention that this KPI is going to filter data based on the current workspace. Also, there's a configure option. If you want to put additional filters just for this particular visual, you can do it. Having said that, that means you have one single data source as in a form of browse, okay, which is again you can put a lot of filters. But while creating visuals, you can put additional filters. So that is how you can filter out the data based on your need. So let's go to visuals, sales history, edit. Okay. Mention about the complex formulation. See, a lot of BI tools or a lot of outside tools have a functionality to build their own formulation based on the functions, based on the complex formulation, and they can derive that data. What we have done, we have got that in QAD so that you don't have to be dependent on the data source itself. So if I click on here at my y-axis, all this year one, year two sales is created by me. Those are not necessarily available in the data source. That means not in browse, but those are extra field which we have created for representation. So let's go and click on edit here. Okay. So this is a formulation. My previous period. That means year minus one. Okay. You have option here. What are my row level functions? Okay. What is there in my function library? If you see that it has a lot of available functions. Now, what about knowing all those functions, how those works? Okay, not necessarily you have to learn that by heart it or go somewhere else. Within here itself, we can go and identify how those can be used. So if I click here, it tells me that how each and every function can be used along with the sample examples as well. So that means you don't necessarily have to read a PDF document or go somewhere else to create your visuals, to create your custom metrics. And definitely you have a preview option here. So whenever you see this, you can try running and see that whether you whatever you have written in a complex function, whether it is correct or not. If it is wrong, then it is gonna give some error message and then you have to correct it. So idea of showing this is that means we have all the possible options to represent data in a better way, accurately based on the respective business. Okay. Very, very small thing. I know it is not that important, but sometimes it becomes very important to a lot of businesses is color representation. See, the traditional BI tools, you have to pick and choose your own color. Means that means you have to give color to background, give color to bar and all. Here in QVD, we get that automatically. You get a lot of options here also. Okay, I know this is not important, but color representation does make our visuals and dashboard more attractive and user friendly. Okay, and this is not limited to pre-built color codification. You can pick and choose your color. Okay, from here there's a color option, and from here you can pick and choose. Okay. I hope that I've tried to give as much of information possible based on the two sample example, which are driven by real life challenges and developed for a particular customer. And like I said, it is not restricted to a limitation, whatever we have shown here. There are n number of options. The more you'll go, more you'll understand how Action Center is really helping business and how fast we can take decisions.